This video, we're going to be removing the factory overhead console to change out the map lights in the new Tacoma. Grabbing the back, pull down, slipping out the front from the locking tabs, and unplugging the main connector. Pressing it down and pulling it out. Now we'll take this over to the bench and swap it out.
You're good.
Now that the overhead console is removed from the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and swap out the map lights. We have to remove the outer bezel. Flipping it around, there's 6 locking tabs. We're going to take our flathead, release one by one. You might have to work it around a few times around the perimeter. And there we go. Next, we have to remove the top bezel covering the lights. Taking your flathead, just work it around. This pops up pretty easy. And one in the center. Now we're down into the circuit board and the factory lights. Take our flathead, pop these off. 1, 2. Now that the upper bezel is removed, we need 2 different items, a T20 Torx and a 5/16" drill bit. Starting with the Torx, we're going to remove these 2 top screws. And taking our flathead, it's going to pop up. Just work it around sides, top, and bottom. Pulling it out, setting the bottom aside. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 clearance holes on each side. And what that will allow us to do is run the wire from our new Ultimate map lights. This will not affect the function. This will not affect the warranty. We're just making a hole in the backside. Even if you went back to the factory, you could put the factory lens right back over and you wouldn't even see it. So we're going to put one right here and right here. As you can see our location, and one right on the other side. That's all we need to do for the top. Now we're going to work over to the back side. If you see where these line up, there's an empty cavity on each side. So we're going to put a hole right next to the factory lights so those wires can pass through. It's empty there. It's also empty on the back side. One on the left. And one on the right. Get all the shavings out, and you can see now on a close-up where we made the holes. Like I said, does not affect the factory function. Even if you went back to stock, you'd never even know. So from here, we're going to grab our new map lights. In the box, you have the left, you have the right, and then you have the factory T-harness that supplies power to it. Starting with the left, take the connector. We're going to fish it through our first hole that we made. Take the left one, fish it through the other hole. And we'll lock these into place. Snap on just like that. Now we have the factory wires. Need to go through the holes. Push that one through. Push the other side through and lock it down. Take the factory Torx T20, reinstall. Followed by the top bezel. And then finally, reinstall the outer trim. Now that the map lights have been swapped over and the bezels reinstalled, we're going to flip it over. Here's the two wires that we passed through. Taking our connector, plugging it in to the factory connection on the side. Wiggle it in. Don't force it. It'll click in and lock. From here we have our two wires, left and the right. Plug the left, followed by the right. These wires can just hang out in this cavity. There's more than enough space to have inside the headliner. Then we're going to go over to the vehicle, plug the factory connector in, and reinstall the overhead console. Now that we're back in the vehicle, we're going to plug the factory connector back in. Be careful not to press it too hard. You want to make sure all the pins line up, and you'll hear it lock. Tucking it over to the right side. Locking the front first, followed by the back, and it'll lock into place. From here we can test it on, color changing, off, or on all the time.